The enemy does not always attack with violence, chaos, or sudden catastrophe. His greatest trick is far more subtle, far more invisible, far more destructive. He uses doubt. Doubt is the poison that seeps into the mind quietly, without alarms, without drama. Doubt does not shout, it whispers. And yet that whisper has destroyed more futures, more destinies, and more dreams than any visible enemy ever could. Napoleon Hill exposed this truth in Outwitting the Devil. The devil confessed to him that his most powerful weapon is not pain, not failure, not tragedy. It is doubt. Because once a man begins to doubt, he begins to drift. And once he drifts, his future is lost. Think about how doubt works. You have a desire, a vision, a dream. At first it burns brightly. You feel inspired. You're ready to act. And then, almost immediately, the whispers begin. What if you're not good enough? What if you fail? What if people laugh? What if this is not for you? The fire begins to fade. The vision becomes blurred. And before you know it, you abandon the very thing that could have changed your life. Not because it was impossible, not because you lacked resources, not because the opportunity wasn't real, but because doubt convinced you otherwise. He'll describe this process as the hypnotic rhythm of the devil. Doubt is not a single moment. It is a cycle. The enemy plants one seed of doubt, and you entertain it. You replay it. You imagine the worst-case scenario. You feed it with your fear. Soon, one doubt becomes many. Doubt in yourself. Doubt in others. Doubt in God. And once doubt controls your mind, you no longer need an enemy. You defeat yourself. The Bible confirms this in James 1 verse 6. The one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That is the image of drifting. Doubt removes your anchor. Doubt makes you unstable. Doubt steals your direction. A person filled with doubt cannot move forward because they are paralyzed by what if. And the devil smiles because his work is done. He didn't need to destroy you. He only needed to make you hesitate. But here is the truth. Doubt is not reality. Doubt is imagination corrupted. It is faith twisted backwards. Faith believes in the unseen with confidence. Doubt believes in the unseen with fear. Faith imagines the best and moves toward it. Doubt imagines the worst and runs from it. Both are belief systems. Both require imagination. The difference is which one you choose to feed. Hill revealed that doubt is the root of drifting. People who doubt their ability to succeed never even try. People who doubt their worth never pursue purpose. People who doubt their ideas never act. And so, they drift into jobs they hate, relationships they tolerate, lives they never chose. They are not failures because they lack talent or opportunity. They are failures because they allowed doubt to steal their future. Ask yourself, how many times has doubt stopped you? How many times have you hesitated when you should have acted? How many times have you talked yourself out of a dream before even trying? Every one of those moments was the devil's greatest trick at work. He didn't block you. He didn't chain you. He didn't push you down. He only whispered, and you believed him. But there is good news. Doubt can be destroyed. It is not permanent. It is not stronger than faith. It only survives if you feed it. And the way to kill doubt is to replace it with faith, definiteness of purpose, and persistent action. Hill discovered that once a person makes a clear, definite decision and commits fully, doubt loses its grip. The devil himself admitted that he cannot control a man or woman with definiteness of purpose. Why? Because doubt thrives in vagueness, but it dies in clarity. Clarity is the first antidote. When you know exactly what you want, you silence half the doubts immediately. Vague dreams create space for doubt. Clear dreams destroy that space. If you say, I want to be successful someday, doubt will attack. How? When? Doing what? But if you say, I will earn this amount by this date, through this plan, doubt has less room to operate. Faith is the second antidote. Faith does not mean you have no doubts. It means you refuse to obey them. Faith means you act even when you feel unsure. Faith means you trust the vision God placed in your heart more than the lies whispered by fear. Faith transforms doubt into fuel. Because every time doubt attacks, you respond with belief. Over time, faith grows stronger and doubt shrinks. Action is the third antidote. Doubt paralyzes, but action mobilizes. Every step you take, no matter how small, weakens doubt. The devil thrives in procrastination. He feeds on hesitation. But when you act quickly and persistently, you starve him. That is why Hill emphasized immediate action, because waiting gives doubt power, but acting gives you momentum. Persistence is the fourth antidote. Doubt often returns. It will whisper again tomorrow, next week, next month. But if you persist, if you continue to act despite its whispers, you build resilience. Soon, doubt no longer scares you. It becomes background noise you ignore. And the devil loses his trick because what once paralyzed you now motivates you to push harder. The truth is this: doubt only destroys those who let it. Doubt is not a death sentence. It is a test of your faith, your clarity, your persistence. Those who pass the test rise into destiny. Those who fail drift into mediocrity. So ask yourself again, will you let the enemy's greatest trick steal your future? Or will you destroy doubt with definiteness of purpose, faith in God's design, and persistent action? The answer will shape your destiny. Doubt is a thief that does not break in through the front door. It seeps in through the cracks. It enters quietly into your thoughts, into your conversations, into your decisions. It does not always shout, "You cannot do this." Sometimes it whispers, "Maybe later. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe this is not the right time." And because it is subtle, most people don't even realize how much power doubt has stolen from them until years have passed. Doubt infiltrates your career by making you settle. You think about starting the business, but doubt says, "What if it fails?" So you stay in a job you hate. You think about asking for the promotion, but doubt says, "What if they reject you?" So you keep silent. You think about creating something new, but doubt says, "Who are you to do this?" So you abandon the idea. And 10 years later, you are still in the same place. Not because you lacked opportunity, but because you allowed doubt to chain your ambition. Doubt infiltrates relationships. You want to express love, but doubt says, "What if they don't feel the same?" You want to heal a broken connection, but doubt says, "What if it doesn't work?" You want to surround yourself with stronger, wiser people, but doubt says, "You don't belong in their circle." And so you isolate yourself, not because you are unworthy, but because you believe a lie. Doubt infiltrates health. You want to start exercising, but doubt says, "You'll never keep it up." You want to change your diet, but doubt says, "It won't make a difference." You want to heal from pain, but doubt says, "This is who you'll always be." And so, people surrender their health, not because they cannot change, but because they doubt they can. Doubt infiltrates purpose. You feel a calling in your heart, but doubt says, "It's too big for you." You dream of impacting lives, but doubt says, "Who will listen?" You want to live boldly, but doubt says, "What if you fail publicly?" And so, destinies remain buried, not by external enemies, but by the internal voice of doubt. Napoleon Hill warned that doubt is the first step toward drifting. Once doubt takes root, you begin to hesitate. Hesitation becomes procrastination. Procrastination becomes habit. Habit becomes lifestyle. And before you know it, years have passed in drift. Doubt was never a small thing. It was the seed of a wasted future. But Hill also revealed the antidotes. The first is definiteness of purpose. Doubt thrives in vagueness. When you are unclear, when your goals are undefined, doubt fills the void. The moment you write down your vision in detail, you strip doubt of power. Specificity silences uncertainty. A vague dream says, "I want success." Doubt attacks with, "But what kind? How much? By when?" A specific dream says, "I will achieve this amount by this date through this plan." Doubt has no room to breathe. The second antidote is faith. Doubt is fear disguised as logic. It sounds reasonable. Be careful. Don't risk. Stay safe. But faith is higher logic. Faith says, "I am guided. I am provided for. I am capable because God placed this desire in me." Doubt imagines disaster. Faith imagines destiny. Both are unseen, but only one produces life. Faith is not naive. It does not deny obstacles. It simply refuses to worship them. The third antidote is action. Doubt paralyzes, but action mobilizes. The moment you take one step, doubt begins to weaken. Why? Because action produces evidence, and evidence builds confidence. You doubt your ability to write? Write one page. You doubt your ability to run? Run 1 mile. You doubt your ability to build a business? Make one call. Action silences doubt by proving it wrong again and again. The fourth antidote is persistence. Doubt rarely leaves after one victory. It will whisper again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. But persistence teaches you to ignore it. Each day you act despite doubt, you build resilience. Doubt may never disappear completely, but it loses power when it no longer controls your choices. The truly successful are not those who never feel doubt, but those who refuse to obey it. The fifth antidote is environment. Hill's mastermind principle is the cure for isolation. Doubt grows strongest in silence, in solitude, in secrecy. When you keep your dreams locked inside, doubt devours them. But when you share your vision with people of faith and courage, their belief strengthens yours. Their fire ignites yours. Their certainty drowns out your doubt. This is why Proverbs 27 verse 17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Surround yourself with faith-filled people, and doubt cannot survive. Let's pause here. Doubt is not always the enemy's voice. Sometimes it sounds like yours. Sometimes it sounds like the people closest to you. Sometimes it disguises itself as wisdom, caution, or humility. But you must learn to discern the difference between wise preparation and paralyzing doubt. Wisdom prepares you for battle. Doubt convinces you never to fight. Wisdom teaches strategy. Doubt tells you to surrender. Wisdom says, count the cost and build. Doubt says, the cost is too high, don't bother. The difference is subtle, but it is life-changing. And here is the ultimate truth. Doubt is always optional. You're never forced to believe it. You can choose faith instead. You can choose clarity instead. You can choose action instead. You can choose persistence instead. The devil may whisper, but you decide whether to listen. That choice is your greatest weapon. So take inventory of your life. Where has doubt been stealing from you? Where has it whispered you out of action? Where has it kept you drifting instead of directing? Be honest, because awareness is the first step to freedom. Once you see the trick, you can refuse to fall for it again. Hill wanted us to know that the enemy does not need to destroy us with fire or chains. He only needs to trick us with doubt. But the moment you expose the trick, the moment you replace it with definiteness of purpose, faith, action, persistence, and environment, you take back your future. Doubt, when exposed, loses much of its power. It thrives in shadows, but it weakens in light. Napoleon Hill understood this. That's why he forced the devil to confess his methods in outwitting the devil. Once the lie is revealed, it cannot enslave you the same way again. And one of the greatest revelations was this. Doubt is simply faith turned inside out. It is the same mental power, but pointed in the wrong direction. Which means if you can doubt, you can also believe. If you can imagine the worst, you can imagine the best. If you can expect disaster, you can also expect destiny. The same mind that produces doubt can produce faith if you choose to direct it. Hill said, faith is the only known antidote for failure. And faith is nothing more than directed desire, reinforced by persistence and energized by imagination. Think of it. When you doubt, you use your imagination to see everything that could go wrong. When you believe, you use that same imagination to see everything that could go right. The power is the same, the direction is different. That is why Romans 12 verse 2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Renewing means redirecting. It means choosing faith instead of doubt, vision instead of fear, clarity instead of drifting. So how do you transform doubt into faith? The first step is recognition. You must catch the thought the moment it appears. When you think, I can't do this, stop. Recognize, this is doubt, not reality. Most people never separate the two. They think a doubtful thought and assume it is truth. But truth and thought are not the same. Truth empowers. Doubt paralyzes. Recognize it, and you reclaim power. The second step is replacement. Do not just tell yourself, don't doubt. The mind cannot operate in a vacuum. You must replace doubt with a statement of faith. Hill called this autosuggestion. Scripture calls it confession. Proverbs 18 verse 21 declares, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." When doubt whispers, "I'm not enough," replace it with, "I am equipped, I am guided, I am capable." When doubt whispers, "I will fail," replace it with, "Every setback is a step forward." When doubt whispers, "I don't belong," replace it with, "I was created with purpose." Words rewire belief, and belief reprograms destiny. The third step is rehearsal. Just as doubt gains power through repetition, faith must also be repeated until it becomes habit. Read your vision daily. Speak your affirmations morning and night. Visualize your success until it feels as real as your doubt once felt. Hill taught that the subconscious accepts whatever is repeated with emotion. Feed it faith daily, and soon it will reject doubt automatically. The fourth step is action. Nothing destroys doubt faster than movement. Fear and hesitation feed doubt, but action starves it. Even a small step can create momentum. The enemy whispers, "You can't finish." Action responds, "Maybe not yet, but I can start." And once you start, faith grows. The more you move, the more evidence you gather, the more confidence you build. Action turns faith from theory into experience. The fifth step is testimony. Remember past victories. Recall times you doubted and still overcame. This creates a library of evidence against doubt. The devil says, "You failed before." You respond, "And I got back up." The devil says, "You're not enough." You respond, "I've faced worse and survived." Hill wrote that persistence grows from experience. Scripture echoes it in Revelation 12 verse 11. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Your past victories are proof that you can conquer again. The sixth step is association. Hill's mastermind principle teaches us that who you surround yourself with determines whether your faith or doubt grows. Alone, doubt is louder. Together, faith multiplies. Surround yourself with voices that call out your greatness, not your weakness. With people who see your destiny, not your flaws. Faith is contagious, but so is doubt. Choose your circle wisely, because your circle becomes your ceiling. And finally, the seventh step is persistence. Doubt is not defeated once, it will return. The devil doesn't give up easily. He will try again tomorrow, next week, next month. But persistence proves your faith is real. Each time you resist doubt and act in faith, you build strength. Over time, what once terrified you becomes trivial. Doubt becomes background noise, irrelevant to your direction. Now let's imagine what happens when you master this process. Doubt no longer paralyzes you. It motivates you. Each whisper becomes a reminder to act in faith. Each obstacle becomes an opportunity to prove your desire. Each delay becomes fuel for persistence. The very trick the devil used to destroy you becomes the tool that strengthens you. This is how the greatest people in history rose. They felt doubt, but they refused to obey it. Instead, they transformed it into faith. Abraham Lincoln doubted himself often, yet he persisted and led a nation. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times, yet he believed his invention was possible. Nelson Mandela faced decades in prison, yet he believed freedom was worth fighting for. Each of them faced the same whispers of doubt. Each of them overcame by faith, purpose, and persistence. Their lives prove that doubt is not destiny. It is only a decision. Hill wanted us to understand, the devil does not fear your talent, your money, your intelligence. He fears your faith, because faith destroys doubt, and without doubt, he has no control. That is why the greatest trick is doubt. And that is why your greatest weapon is faith. So now the question becomes, will you keep letting doubt dictate your future, or will you take the steps to transform it into faith? Will you drift in uncertainty, or will you rise in definiteness of purpose? Will you surrender to whispers, Or will you speak louder with faith-filled words? The choice is always yours. Doubt is like a shadow. It has no substance of its own. It only exists when light is blocked. And yet, countless people allow shadows to dictate their lives. They see the shadow of fear and stop moving. They see the shadow of uncertainty and give up. They see the shadow of failure and retreat. But shadows are powerless the moment you turn toward the light. Napoleon Hill revealed this truth. Doubt is nothing but faith turned toward darkness. Turn it toward light, and the shadow disappears. Faith is that light. Faith is the only force strong enough to silence doubt permanently. Faith is not a fragile hope. It is a solid decision. Hebrews 11 verse 1 defines it as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance. Evidence. Faith is not fantasy. It is a higher reality. It is the ability to see what others cannot, to believe what others deny, to pursue what others abandon. Faith transforms invisible dreams into visible achievements. Hill uncovered this when he interviewed the most successful men of his time. Each of them faced doubt. Each of them faced ridicule. Each of them faced setbacks. But all of them possessed unshakable faith. Andrew Carnegie believed in building an empire of steel when others mocked him. Henry Ford believed in producing cars for the masses when experts called it impossible. Edison believed in producing light when people laughed at his repeated failures. Their faith destroyed their doubts. And because of that, their names live on. The devil confessed to Hill that doubt is his most effective weapon. Why? Because doubt paralyzes people before they even try. Failure teaches lessons. Pain builds strength. But doubt prevents action altogether. It kills dreams before they take their first breath. That is why the devil does not need to destroy your resources, your talents, or your opportunities. He only needs to plant doubt in your mind. If you believe it, you will destroy yourself. But faith exposes the trick. Faith declares, I may not see it yet, but it is mine. I may not feel ready, but I am chosen. I may not have proof, but I have promise. Faith is not blind. It sees deeper. Faith is not reckless. It is bold. Faith does not ignore reality. It creates a higher one. When faith speaks, doubt is silenced. When faith acts, doubt is defeated. When faith persists, doubt is erased. Now let's look at how doubt disguises itself. Sometimes it comes as fear. What if I fail? Sometimes as logic. It doesn't make sense. Sometimes as humility. I'm not good enough. But in every form, the purpose is the same, to stop you. Faith must answer each disguise. When doubt says, what if I fail? Faith says, then I'll learn and rise. When doubt says, it doesn't make sense, faith says, I don't need to see the whole path to take the next step. When doubt says, I'm not good enough, faith says, I was created with purpose, and I am equipped. Hill insisted that definiteness of purpose destroys doubt. A man who knows what he wants cannot be stopped. Clarity makes you immune to hesitation. If you decide firmly, doubt has no room to argue. Indecision is the devil's playground. Decision is his defeat. That is why every successful person makes decisions quickly and changes them rarely. They silence doubt with decisiveness. Action is another weapon. Doubt thrives in delay, but dies in movement. The moment you act, you prove doubt wrong. You silence the whispers by creating results. Even small victories stack into confidence. Confidence builds into faith. Faith builds into momentum. Momentum makes you unstoppable. Doubt cannot live in momentum. That is why Hill emphasized immediate action. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Persistence ensures the victory. Doubt will return. It will whisper again when you face setbacks. But persistence teaches you to outlast it. Every time you persist, doubt weakens. Every time you rise, fear retreats. Every time you continue, faith grows. Persistence does not eliminate doubt, it outlives it. The devil himself admitted to Hill, once I capture a man through doubt, I keep him until he develops definiteness of purpose backed by persistence. That is the blueprint of freedom. But faith is more than mental. It is spiritual. Faith connects you to God's design. Doubt isolates you. Faith says, God is for me, so who can be against me? Doubt says, I am alone. Faith says, greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. Doubt says, I am too small. Faith says, with God, all things are possible. Doubt says, it's over. Faith says, it's just beginning. Faith is not just a mindset, it is a lifeline. Consider the story of Peter walking on water. He stepped out in faith, and for a moment, he defied the laws of nature. But then doubt whispered. He looked at the waves, the wind, the storm, and he sank. Jesus pulled him up and said, why did you doubt? That is the picture of all of us. We begin in faith, but when we listen to doubt, we sink. The key is to keep our eyes on the vision, not the storm. Faith walks on water. Doubt drowns in it. The truth is this. Doubt will never disappear entirely. Even the strongest feel it. But the difference between drifting and destiny is obedience. Do you obey doubt, or do you obey faith? Do you follow fear, or do you follow purpose? The whisper may come, but you choose whether to act on it. That choice shapes your future. Imagine living free from doubt. Imagine waking up every morning with clarity, moving forward with courage, taking action with boldness. Imagine hearing the whispers, but laughing at them because you know the truth. Imagine pursuing your destiny with unshakable faith until it becomes reality. That life is possible. That life is waiting. That life is yours if you refuse the devil's trick. The devil's greatest trick is not chains, not violence, not destruction. It is doubt. Because doubt makes you build your own prison. It makes you surrender your future before the fight even begins. It convinces you to silence your own potential, to bury your own dreams, to waste your own life. But here is the truth. Doubt only wins if you let it. The moment you expose it, the moment you replace it with faith, the moment you act with persistence, doubt is destroyed. Napoleon Hill wanted us to understand that no man is defeated until he accepts defeat in his own mind. Doubt is that acceptance. Doubt is the quiet voice that says, you can't, and convinces you to agree. But faith is the louder voice that says, you can, you must, you will. And when you choose faith, the prison doors swing open. The whispers lose their power. The future becomes yours again. Faith is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Without faith, you drift. With faith, you direct. Without faith, you hesitate. With faith, you act. Without faith, you surrender. With faith, you persist. Every great achievement in history was born in faith. Every breakthrough, every invention, every movement, every transformation began with someone who refused to doubt. And understand this, doubt is not just about you. When you surrender to doubt, you rob others of the gift you were meant to give. Your family, your community, your generation, they all need the fruit of your faith. Your vision, your service, your creation, your contribution, it is not just for you. It is for them. Doubt is not only self-destruction. It is theft from those who need your destiny. But when you walk in faith, when you destroy doubt, when you live with clarity and persistence, you don't just change your life. You change lives around you. You inspire. You lead. You bless. You leave a legacy that cannot be erased. That is why the devil fears your faith more than anything else. Because your faith doesn't just set you free, it sets others free. So now the choice is in front of you. Will you keep falling for the trick? Will you let doubt steal your dreams, your destiny, your future? Or will you rise in faith, speak words of power, act with persistence, and refuse to drift? The choice may feel small, but it is everything. Because the future is not decided by circumstances. It is decided by what you believe, by what you act on, by whether you obey doubt or obey faith. Today, decide that you will no longer be a victim of the trick. Decide that when the whispers come, you will laugh and say, not this time. Decide that when fear knocks, you will answer with faith. Decide that when doubt says, what if you fail? You will answer, what if I succeed? Decide that you will persist, you will act, You will believe, and you will win. Because the truth is this: doubt destroys only those who cooperate with it, but faith builds those who feed it. And you already have the power to choose. And if this message has spoken to you, if it has awakened you to the enemy's trick, then don't let it pass. Don't drift back into silence. Take action right now. Refuse doubt in this very moment. Step into faith in this very moment. Commit to building your future in this very moment. And join us on this journey. Because here, we expose the devil's tricks. Here, we replace doubt with faith. Here, we build lives of purpose, persistence, and power. Hit that subscribe button right now. Don't just watch, commit. Don't just agree, act. Subscribe and become part of a movement of people who refuse to doubt, who refuse to drift, who refuse to let the enemy steal their future. The devil's trick is doubt. Your weapon is faith. Use it and step boldly into the future you were created for.